Hey everybody, I'm sorry I'm making this video late. It's about 10 p.m., but it's still Tuesday. So, I was out at work all day, and then I hung out with a friend this afternoon and evening, and actually we went out to eat, which is the perfect way to lead us to this week's question, which is basically, I still haven't managed to eat in public. How do I go about facing that fear and doing it safely? So first off, and perhaps you've heard it a million times, and I'm not saying that it makes it any easier, people really aren't looking at you when you're eating in a public space. People most often are paying attention and focusing on themselves. Sometimes it helps for me to remember a time when I was not eating disordered and to try to remember what it was like to go out to eat. I was very involved with the conversation with my friends, and I wasn't concerned with the people sitting around me. I wasn't concerned with what my friends were eating. I wasn't concerned with what the people at the next table were eating. I was concerned with me, and I was there to have a good time and to enjoy a good meal and nothing more. And although it can really feel like people are just staring you down and judging you, it's really not the case. I think when you have an eating disorder, I know when you have an eating disorder, food just is part of all your thoughts. It's part of your everyday life, and it's really difficult to imagine life without constantly thinking about what you're eating, about how people might be judging you. And I think sometimes when people have eating disorders, they often tend to pay attention to how other people are eating as well. However, that's not the way that the general population thinks. And it's important to recognize that when you have an eating disorder, you're so fixated on food, you might forget what it's like to just really have normal thoughts. And it takes a lot of time. But if you remind yourself that not everybody is so judgmental and so focused on how and what they or you are eating, it can be a huge help. And I think it is a realization that certainly does come with time. Another thing about eating in public is that it can be very anxiety-provoking and scary. But if we're talking about eating in a restaurant or something like that, never feel guilty eating what you're comfortable with. And if you have a choice or a say, don't feel guilty eating somewhere that you're comfortable eating or suggesting a place that you would like to go. I think it's really difficult eating in public because you lose that sense of perfect control. You can't control what goes on around you in your eating environment, and you can't control exactly what you're eating. However, I think that controlling what you're eating is not control at all. If anything, that search to just be able to control everything you're eating is preventing you from controlling your own life. It is preventing you from going out with friends and enjoying yourself, enjoying dinner with family, enjoying a lot of things, because, quite frankly, life and social situations often revolve around food, and it is very difficult to overcome, but in order to stay connected to the world, it is important. And I think the biggest suggestion I have about fears of eating in public is that it's really important to stay focused on the people that you're eating with, your friends, the people you went with, and the conversation. Sometimes I know when I am having a good conversation with a group of friends while I'm out to eat, I forget about everything else around me. Maybe I don't completely forget. And there are definitely times where thoughts are still there, but it can be a helpful, positive distraction that really keeps me in the moment instead of having the really destructive eating disorder thoughts just plague my mind and make me miserable. But staying involved and connected to the people and conversation around me really helps me get through it. And it takes a lot of practice. It's definitely not easy, but it gets easier the more you do it. Sorry. And I think it's important to remember that even when you're thinking all of this, even when you're trying to stay involved and you're trying to remember that other people really aren't judging you or thinking about you, that it's just one meal. One out of a million. And it's really not going to make that much of a difference in terms of your weight. There really aren't going to be people judging you up and down. And staying socially connected is definitely more valuable. Even if it's difficult, it's more beneficial than staying alone with your misery and your eating disorder. It's a big step to just be able to go out, order something, and eat it in public, in a restaurant, with other people. And you should be proud of yourself for that, and you can only do what you can do. And chances are, other people will really not be paying all that much attention to how and what you're eating. And if, in the very rare instance that they do, you've just got to really know inside that you're taking a big step. You're putting yourself out there to be social and to accept food as part of health and life, and that is huge, and no comment that another person makes can undermine that. So today when I went out to eat, I went out with my best friend. Eating out for me is still a little bit difficult, but it was a little more difficult today because there were a group of people from my high school there, and I've been out of high school for 3 years now, that I didn't particularly get along with, people that used to mock and make fun of me. But the thing was, I didn't let them ruin my day. I was there with my best friend. I saw them, they saw me. We didn't really talk. They said hi to my friend because she gets along with them a little bit better. But I stayed involved with my conversation with my friend. When I got my food, I didn't need to cope by turning to my eating disorder. If they made me feel inadequate or upset or very emotional and made it very difficult for me, then you know what, they'd be getting what they want out of me. And I'm not going to let them rain on my parade. You know, I'm going to march even if it's thundering and lightning out. And I hope that metaphor kind of makes sense. And I just want to say, it is no easy matter, but keep going at it. Try to work through it. Good luck to you all, and I'll see you next week.